I mean, like two competitors, obviously we're trying to get as much done in each other's favor, but I think, collectively, and I don't think Jim was any opposite of me, was the fans has always been the best, solution to this whole process and to the sport itself. The only way that, and I've said this from day one.
Michael Jordan's fight with NASCAR just reached a stunning turning point. After days of tense courtroom battles, secret negotiations, and mounting pressure, the legal war involving 23XY Racing quietly came to an end. No dramatic verdict, no public victory lap, just a settlement that is already changing how power works inside the sport. For NASCAR, this moment carries serious consequences. For Jordan and his rivals, the real impact may only be beginning. What began as a bold legal challenge soon turned into a defining moment for NASCAR, a sport long governed by the insular policies of the France family. At the heart of the lawsuit were allegations that NASCAR had used monopolistic tactics to limit the financial growth of race teams. By controlling access to races and revenue through the now infamous charter system, teams claimed NASCAR effectively stifled their ability to build lasting equity. The charters, functioning similarly to franchise rights in other sports, guaranteed race teams entry into Cup Series events and a portion of NASCAR's revenues. However, unlike NBA or NFL franchises, NASCAR's charters were not permanent, forcing teams into a cycle of uncertainty that made long-term investment difficult. In 2024, NASCAR issued a new 112-page charter offer to teams, giving them until the end of the day to sign or risk forfeiting their spots. 13 of 15 organizations reluctantly agreed, but Michael Jordan and Front Row Motorsports refused to comply. Instead, Jordan and co-owner Denny Hamlin took NASCAR to court, risking their team's future to fight for fundamental change. As the trial began, Jordan told the jury he believed he was uniquely positioned to challenge the series. The former basketball superstar, known for his unmatched competitive drive, now aimed to bring that same energy to racing reform. "Today's a good day," he said after the settlement, flanked by Hamlin, Front Row's Bob Jenkins, and NASCAR chairman Jim France. The financial terms of the settlement remain confidential, but the structural changes are monumental. NASCAR has now agreed to amend the existing charter system, offering what has been described as a form of evergreen charters, a long-sought victory for the teams. This move brings stock car racing in line with other major sports leagues where teams can confidently build for the future. We're like two competitors, obviously. The only way this sport's going to grow is we have to find some synergy between the two entities, and I think we've gotten to that point, Jordan told reporters. He called the settlement a step forward, not a win, and credited level heads for reaching a compromise that had eluded both parties for more than a year. In all honesty, when you get to the finish line, sometimes you have to think not for yourself, but think about the sport as a whole. And I think both parties got to that point, and we realized we can have an opportunity to settle this. And we dove, and we actually did it, Jordan explained. Judge Kenneth Bell, who presided over the trial, supported the outcome, noting how the parties needed to see the strength of each other's evidence before realizing the benefit of compromise. "I wish we could have done this a few months ago," Bell said. "I believe this is great for NASCAR, great for the future of NASCAR, great for the entity of NASCAR, great for the teams, and ultimately great for the fans." For Jordan and 23XI Racing, the risks were immense. They raced most of the 2025 season without a charter, which meant no guaranteed spots in races and no secure slice of revenue. Both Jordan and Jenkins stated plainly that a loss in court could have ended their teams altogether. But their bold move paid off, forcing NASCAR to come to the table with meaningful concessions. The joint statement released after the settlement captured the spirit of the moment. What all parties have always agreed on is a deep love for the sport and a desire to see it fulfill its full potential. This is a landmark moment, one that ensures NASCAR's foundation is stronger, its future is brighter, and its possibilities are greater. The roots of the legal battle lie in years of dissatisfaction with NASCAR's revenue-sharing model. Teams had been asking for 4 key changes: increased revenue, permanent charters, a voice in governance, and a share of new revenue streams. The deal NASCAR presented in 2024 was widely viewed as inadequate, a take-it-or-leave-it offer that provided only $12 million per charter far short of the $20 million teams felt they needed to remain solvent. During the trial, an economist testified that the plaintiffs were owed more than $300 million in damages. But the financial strain was only one piece of the puzzle. The deeper issue was control, or the lack thereof. NASCAR's top brass, including Chairman Jim France and Commissioner Steve Phelps, were shown to have been unyielding in their resistance to permanent charters. Internal emails revealed executives describing the France family as a brick wall on the issue. When NASCAR began its defense midweek, it became clear the strategy was not to dispute the accusations of monopolistic behavior, but to minimize financial damages. Their hope was to avoid a catastrophic jury award while salvaging what remained of their bargaining power. In the end, the risks of trial, especially after 8 days of damaging testimony, forced a settlement. This resolution isn't just a win for Jordan or 23XI. It's a defining moment for all NASCAR teams. The shift toward permanent charters means owners can now seek long-term sponsors, make infrastructure investments, and attract new investors with confidence. The charters are reportedly valued at over $45 million each, but that value was undermined by their temporary nature. Now teams can finally count on that equity. Beyond the mechanics of the deal, the symbolism is powerful. Michael Jordan, one of the most famous athletes in the world, has now cemented his place in racing history, not just as a team owner, but as a changemaker. By standing up to NASCAR, he showed that even the most entrenched institutions must adapt when faced with determined, principled opposition. The broader racing community has responded with a mix of relief and optimism. This outcome avoids years of further litigation and provides clarity in a time when NASCAR has faced criticism for declining viewership and waning fan engagement. The settlement is also likely to serve as a blueprint for future governance in the sport, potentially opening the door for greater collaboration between NASCAR leadership and the race teams. It's also worth noting the strategic optics at play. By choosing to settle during the 9th day of the trial, NASCAR avoided putting its senior leadership on the witness stand, a move that could have exposed even more internal communications damaging to its public image. According to courtroom sources, internal discussions had already revealed uncomfortable dynamics, including repeated clashes between executives and the team representatives. Avoiding public cross-examinations of figures like Jim France or Steve Phelps helped NASCAR contain further reputational fallout, especially with tensions already high following earlier testimony. Michael Jordan's visibility added to the pressure. His presence outside the courthouse alongside NASCAR's top brass signaled to fans and stakeholders alike that the sport had reached a turning point. Jordan's stature as a global icon amplified every moment, bringing mainstream media attention far beyond motorsports circles. For Jordan, this wasn't just business. It was a statement about fairness, sustainability, and respect for the people who power the sport from the garages to the grandstands. His involvement brought a sense of urgency and credibility to the cause, forcing long-standing traditions to be re-examined under the weight of public and corporate scrutiny. As Jordan and his team stepped out of the courthouse, the symbolic weight of their victory could not be overstated. They didn't just settle a lawsuit, they helped steer NASCAR in a new direction, one where the past no longer holds the sport hostage and where the future looks brighter for everyone on the track.